Welcome back to Donuts in Space and part 2 of the Classic Plastic 101 Celebration grid build. We had a little bit of an issue with the primer. It was basically one of these cans that I was using. This is a new one. I'm not sure why, but for some reason on the roof and down, well, both sides really, funnily enough, not the back or the front, but just the sides and the roof, it dried really funny, as though you was actually spraying it on from about 10 miles away, because it just completely looked dry for some strange reason. No idea, got no answer as to why it was doing that, but it did do that for some strange reason. So I had to sand the thing back down, which I've done, and I've also gone along and re-scrubbed all the panel lines as well, just to get the paint out of those so they don't clog up, so they're still visible. Yeah, I'm not sure why that happened really. I've never had that happen to me before using the surface primer from Tamiya. I know it was a relatively old can, but I wouldn't have thought that would have had anything to do with it, because it's in a sealed environment really, basically in the can. So unless this stuff has a shelf life, but then I wouldn't have thought the shelf life would have been that short, to be fair, because I would imagine this stuff sits in the warehouse for a little while before it's sent out. But nevertheless, we've had a little bit of an issue with it. So we've sanded it back down with 600 grit wet and dry, and I'm going to reshoot it. It should only take one coat now to really go over this. The top might need two, not sure, depends. But yeah, we'll soon see. These things happen. Didn't want it left like that, to be quite honest, because the paint work would have come out quite crap. And as soon as this is for Chris, I don't want it to be crap. It has to be good. So I will come back to you once we've got this wee beastie all primed up successfully. Now I've got the body re-primed, and it's looking quite good. It's come out nice and smooth. I did give it a quick going over with some 1200 wet and dry, just to make sure that the body was nice and smooth, and it appears to be. Run my fingers all over it just to make sure. Normally with your fingers you can tell, but yeah, it's looking quite good. I had a little bit of a burn through on one of the hinges at the top there, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. The white paint should cover over that quite nicely, actually, to be fair. So the bottom half of this is going to be painted in the pearl yellow. It's from Zero Paints, and it's already pre-thinned, and it comes with a little ball bearing in there just to make sure that the paint gets really stirred up. I think the thing with this one is that you really do actually need to make sure that this is really mixed properly, so you need to spend a bit of time mixing that, because they can settle down quite a bit, to be fair, over time. Once that's done, we'll then be on to the pearl white, and as you can see there, where that's not stirred up, you can actually see it all the pearl effects sitting on the base of the bottle. Once we've got those on, it'll just be a case of putting a quick coat of this one on, which is the clear coat. It's a gloss clear coat. Once that's on, I'll put one coat of that on, then get the decals put on, and then basically just put another couple of coats of the clear gloss on, and then just leave it for a few days for it to dry and harden up properly. So what I'll do is I will come back to you as soon as I've got the yellow down on it. Now I've got 4 good layers of the yellow on the van, and it's looking quite good, to be fair. I like the way that that's looking. Just 4 layers, and left it 5 minutes in between each layer. The first coat that I put on was actually, to be fair, quite light. and then the second 2 coats were a reasonably medium coat, and then the last coat that I put on was a fairly heavy coat. Now this stuff does dry up quite quickly, to be fair, but what I'm now going to do is just leave that overnight, and then once that's dried off, I'll then tape it up, and I will be doing the top half in the pearl white. What I've also done, I don't think you're going to see it through that, but I've also painted the whole of the inside of the van white as well. Left a little bit of a mock-up area on the inside, so when the wheel wells go in, the body underneath is going to be in the white, as is going to be in the yellow as well. I might change my mind and actually do that black at one stage, more than likely. Depends on how it looks, to be fair. But yeah, certainly the white is the next one, and I think, if I'm to be honest, that might actually take a few coats to do, because the white is more translucent than the yellow one. I mean, that went down, so I would imagine that's going to take sort of 5, maybe 6 coats of the pearl white to get a good finish on that. But so far, happy with the paint job on this, and that yellow is looking quite good. I think one of the things that I could have done, actually, if I wanted that to look a bit brighter than it is to actually spray silver down first and then put the yellow over the top, and I think that would have made it actually even brighter than it is now. But I'm actually happy with the hue that we've got on that yellow. So yeah, onto the white, and then after that the first layer of gloss, put the decals on, and then another sort of 1 or 2 layers of gloss over the top of that. So the body is nearly finished. So as soon as I've got the white bit done, I will come back to you. Well, we've got the pearl white now on the van, and that's not looking too bad, to be fair. We have got a little bit of an upsie just there, where for some reason the paint peeled up when I was taking the masking tape off. Got no idea why that happened, but never mind. I've got a decal that will be covering that little spot there anyway, so it's not too much of a major issue. But yeah, not too shabby, actually, to be fair. I think what I should have really done with the base here is I should have actually used like a yellow paint or something, either done white or yellow, because it's, even though it does look yellow, it looks as though it's got a slight hint of green in it as well, which is weird underneath the grey primer. So either a white primer or just spraying a yellow underneath that would have more than likely made that a little bit brighter, or a silver, actually, to be fair, would have most probably ended up making that a lot brighter than it is. But hey ho, never mind, you'll always learn your lessons, and you carry on. I think that's one of the good things about modelling, is the fact that you never stop learning. So I've used Chris's Classic Plastic 101 logo, and I've made a 3 decal, so we're going to have one of these on each side of the vehicle, and then that one on the back end of the vehicle as well. Unfortunately, my printer has put black lines straight through that. I don't know why. I know it's an old printer, and I know it was a cheap one. So I think I might really, if I'm going to be doing decals on a sort of regular basis, I think I might need to upgrade my printer to sort those out. So the next stage for this really now is just for me to put the first coat of clear coat on there, let that dry, get the decals on, and then put a couple of coats of lacquer over the top of that, and then hopefully that should look good, and then I can get onto the rest of the body. So as soon as I've got all of those bits done, I will come back to you. Well, we've got 2 coats of the clear gloss on now, and it's looking quite glossy. It's not like ultra shiny, but then, I mean, if I'm to be honest, with a car of this size, I don't think it should be ultra shiny, but that's just my take anyway. Couldn't use the decals in the end, unfortunately. I think the decal paper that I had was a little bit too old, and it just did not take, and it kept on curling up, and every time I tried to stick it back down again, it kept on rubbing off the ink from the paper, and I'm not sure why, because I did actually give it 2 really good coats of the Tamiya TS13 lacquer. So I just kind of gave up with it really, to be fair. It doesn't take anything away from the build, if I'm to be honest. It would have just been nice to have the decals on there for it, but you know, these things happen, can't be helped. But it's looking good nonetheless. So the body of this is now finished, so the next step for me is to start working on the chassis and all of the other components. I think I might just start on the interior parts and get those done first, because there is going to need to be a little bit of work done to those. The other thing that I'm sort of toying with, going back and forth in my mind, is to whether I tint the rear window and possibly the side windows with the Tamiya clear yellow, because it would kind of help match up with the pearl yellow there. It would, I don't know, give something else to it. But I'm not sure whether I'm going to do that or not. It's just one of those things that I guess I'm just going to have to think about. I've got a bit of time before the windows need to go in anyway. But yeah, if anybody can give me their thoughts on that, whether I should just sort of put a couple of coats of the clear yellow on there, that would be great. So I'm going to call it wraps for this update. So I will catch you in the next one, where we will start building the chassis.